Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli and tonight my guests are... He still has to be here. It's Danny the GFP. Hello!
I see the GFP bit is back after its absence of a whole week.
Disappeared for a week and now it's back.
Oh dear. What are you going to do when I get rid of it?
Oh, don't know.
Actually, the Volkswagen. In fact, all three vehicles I've got now are all German. They're all flower pots. And the new one will that be German as well.
Really? What are you getting next?
VW Transporter.
Oh, very nice. Someone's moving up in the world.
Well, moving backwards and forwards as I forget to strap myself down.
Speaking of moving up in the world, next up, he's still Adam Johnson's biggest competition. It's Andrew Fife.
Jesus Christ.
We heard about your days as playing as a right winger. That's what you meant in it, Gim.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
You could have played for England.
Wizard on the wing.
Instead, you were too busy noshing off altar boys at Eton.
Christ. I saw actually...
I was just at half-time, Andrew.
I saw on the weekend after the Man U game, someone tweeted asking whether there's any 15-year-old girls out there willing to start flirting with Aaron Ramsey, which made me chuckle. But, how you doing, Gimli? All right?
Oh, yeah, I'm having a whale of a time, mate, to be honest with you. This is exactly the way I'd hoped it would have gone. We'll go into our next guest then. Well, hopefully not literally. And finally, he is the man behind the cloth. It's Raj Patel. Hello, Raj.
Hello, Gimli. How are you?
Well, you sound jovial.
I'm not really, but I'm trying to be.
It's probably elbows deep in a gatto.
Is it?
No, I'll send you a picture of what I'm going to be eating in about 2 minutes. And I promise you the podcast will stop when you see this picture. But no, let's crack on. It's been a horrible week and we've got a few more horrible days to come. But that's what supporting Arsenal's like at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a shower of some particular shit.
Boop.
Danny,
yes.
As always, we'll go over to you. Who has all the scores across the board and a loan watch and injuries this week?
Okie dokie, I've slightly edited this. Damien Martinez, Wolves, Isaac Hayden, Hull, Glenn Kamara, Southend, Gideon Zelalem.
Na 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 na.
Mana mana.
Na 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 na.
No, no,
Na na na.
And Matthew DeBoichi. None of those lot played a game, so that saved nearly a minute. Ainsley, not Ashley. I don't know why the hell I keep saying. I'm talking loudly again, aren't I? Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Ipswich, now 9th. He came on as a substitute for the last 9 minutes in the 1-0 away win at Huddersfield Town. You add this up. He played 9 minutes. Chupa Chupa Apcom. Hull City, they're currently second. They've dropped down from first. Hull drew 0-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Chupa Chupa came on for the last 12 minutes. So far, they've played for 21 minutes. John Terrell. Super John Terrell.
Hold on, Danny.
What?
Hold on. He's just posted what the picture is.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
a big old dirty pizza. Where'd you get that from?
Just the local one around the corner.
Seriously, that's so fucking big. They're seats for gnomes.
Oh, he's put it on there. Oh, jeez.
You're going to have a heart attack during the podcast, mate. That's not healthy.
Oh, look, I've had an
He's a growing boy.
Right?
He's got
Sunday.
God on his side.
It's got so much meat in it, he could be 2 fingers deep easily.
Oh, no.
All right, shut up. Let me get on. Super John Terrell done that bit. Birmingham City currently 8th. Lost 2-0 away at QPR. He played 27 minutes. So all of our players either didn't play or came on for the last... Here, this one. Wellington Silva, Bolton, 23rd. Came on for the last 1 minute as they lost 2-0 at home to Burnley. What the hell is the point if 6 of our players on loan, 5 of our players on loan didn't play, the rest of them got 9 minutes, 12, 27 and 1 minute. Right, has everybody sat down?
Yes.
I'm going to put a drum roll on this and some kind of special effects. Me?
Shall I do your drum roll?
Go on then, I was going to tell myself to, when I'm editing this, to hit it. Go on then, do a drum roll. That's very wonderful. Yaya, Sonogo, scored a hat-trick.
I don't believe it. I don't actually believe it.
I never thought I'd say those words again. They lost 4-3. He scored a hat-trick for Charlton, who are still rock-bottom 24th in the Championship. So well done, Yaya. The only way is up, as Gimli's love child Yaz once said. They're all the way down to Italy. Wojciech Szczesny from Roma. They're 4th, which is good. He started and they won 3-1 away at Empoli, and that's 5 league wins in a row, which we could do with him at the moment, because... we have got some injured players. Hold on. Under 21s, drew 1-1 at home to Wolves. Doniel Malen, I think he's Dutch, scored again. He's one for the future. The under 18s, we drew 3-3 at home to Aston Villa. We were winning, drawing, losing, and then we drew. So who's sniffing? Stop
No.
it. Goals from Nathan Teller, Eddie Nikita, who's a regular goal scorer. Keep an eye on him because in future he's going to be good. And Kostas Pelias got the last-minute equaliser. And then we go on to the injuries, as usual. It is from ArsenalReport.com. Lauren Koscielny out for the weekend, calf strain, not sure when he's going to be back. Petr Cech injured. Hamstring, he is going to be out for a while. Both of those might miss the next 2 games. They're both almost definitely out for the Spurs game. Jack Wilshere 2 weeks. Santi Cazorla 4 weeks, which I think that's gone up a couple of weeks. I'm sure he was at the same number as Wilshere. The Ox, it says 1 month. He's got a knee injury. Rashiki is been put down by a vet, and Carl Jenkinson now only has 1 leg, and he's going to go and join Chris and the Pirates. I think that's everything, isn't it?
Is that the lot?
I think that is.
Wow, you made a good job of that.
You're very kind. I thought I fubbed my way through most of it.
Yeah, I thought you did as well, to be honest with you. I was only trying to be nice.
Failure.
Well, should we do something a bit different this week?
Go on.
Because it's all doom and gloom. We normally split up the games into, talk about them individually. But I think this week, should we do them as a collective? I think
May as well.
One turd looks much similar to another turd.
It
Given,
does, and neither polished.
Given the only performance for half a game. Makes sense, right?
So Andrew, if you want to tell us how you feel about the last 2 games.
Fucking livid, to be honest, Gimli. Fell asleep Sunday night, not in the best of moods, and I woke up Monday absolutely raging, so much so that my girlfriend's mother actually texted me after noticing my Twitter outbursts to tell me at 8:30 on Monday morning that I need a strong drink. I think the general performance. I was after this went up to Manchester to the game, and I've never been so disappointed or upset with an Arsenal result before. It's not the fact that we lost the game. That shit happens, and as a football fan, you can't expect to win every season unbeaten like we did that in 2004. But when you take performances like that, and clearly the players just don't give a shit, that it's just completely unacceptable. And and so I think this week a lot of Arsenal fans took their emotions out last night, and it's been brewing for a while now. And I think it's utterly laughable that people are now slating the fans for their reaction. I get that fans shouldn't boo, or that we should encourage the players till the end. But the melting pot at Arsenal has bubbled over again in the business end of the season, and everything looks like it's going to shit. So.
And Raj, you were someone that pleaded with us to come on tonight, so the spotlight is on you. Take it away.
Well, I mean, it's just year after year we failed to get to grips with the challenges we face, and it's like Groundhog Day every month. I mean, it's you could predict things, on a year in year out basis, and these last 2 performances. Sunday was horrendous. It was the most insipid, useless performance I've ever seen for a long, long time, and it could be argued that the 8-2 that we had there 3 or 4 years ago was actually a better performance, because for the 8-2 we had a team that was kind of reduced by injuries. We had Coquelin making his debut, Jenkinson was playing, and yet this time round we had a very strong team. When I woke up on Sunday morning and I saw the team lineups, I thought, this is brilliant. This is a great team. You could maybe argue about Theo and Giroud and all that, but overall I thought it was an excellent lineup. And then you look at Man United's lineup, full of kids and nothing really, and I just thought we're going to easily win this, and yet we lost. And it's just happens more often than not now, and it's just unacceptable. And then yesterday, it was a bit different. We did play quite well actually in the start of the game, but they had 2 chances on goal, and Arsene Wenger's moaning on that they only had 2 chances. They scored both goals. Well, what does that show us? So it shows us that every time a team gets a chance, they all score a goal against us, and it's just becoming unacceptable now. And I think decisions have to be made, and I think the manager has to look at himself and say, can he actually do anything more at this club? I think he's gone stale. I think he will never ever win a Premier League at this club. He might win the odd FA Cup. He's never going to do anything in the Champions League because he hasn't learned how to cope with these first round knockout games that we have, losing first legs for the last 6 years. It's not acceptable. And I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 days, I've got a Twitter account. I don't follow Wenger out people totally. I've got a mixture of people on there with different views, both sides of the fence. And there's been a massive, massive swing from, wanting the manager to stay to wanting the manager to maybe, call it a day. I'm not the person who actually would ever espouse a sacking. Not really into that. I think he does still deserve the respect that we shouldn't even contemplate that. But I just hope that he looks at himself and says, I can't do any more at this club, because he can't. And, I've heard ridiculous things about how we're in the middle of some sort of special project. What is this special project? No one's ever told me this. No one's ever explained me what is this special project and when the end date is. No, we're in a special project. Don't worry, keep faith. I've lost faith totally. And I've kept quiet for 3 or 4 months because I wanted to just keep behind the team, and I'll carry on doing that. But not with these kind of performances. They're horrendous. And I'll tell you that now, for the first time, probably ever, or maybe, forever, I think we'll lose on Saturday. And I think we'll lose badly.
But Raj, what do you make of his comments after the game as well, where he alluded to the fact that Man United maybe edged Arsenal because they'd spent an awful lot of money? It's a bit of a slap in the face to the fans.
Yeah, some of his comments are risible now, and I just laugh at them. I mean, to say that, they had an experienced midfield because they'd spent money. Well, I mean, we didn't spend any money. And why does he say that? Because he only attracts more criticism to himself. Oh, we've got a team full of leaders. Well, the only leaders I saw on the pitch last night were in Swansea shirts. I mean, there's a lack of game management. There's a weakness of character. The teams change every year. The coaches, the training methods probably change every year. This year we've got different medical staff. The one constant at the club is Arsene Wenger, and he's got to start looking and actually taking more responsibility for this. And I do not understand why there are still plenty of fans out there who thinks he's untouchable.
And Andrew, you're chomping at the bit to respond to that, so go ahead.
Yeah, one point that we didn't pick up on Wenger's post-game comment. So for most of the fans, when you get there, on Sunday morning, you've got up at 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, got to Euston, spent, best part of 100 quid on a train ticket. You got up to Manchester, all your money on beers, the taxis, it's an absolute nightmare, not getting home till late at night. Switch on, still livid, not, kind of got over the fact, calm down, had a little nap on the way home. And then I've watched Wenger's 3-minute interview with the BBC. And, for the majority of this interview, he's smiling and he's laughing with the journalist. And I'm thinking, what the hell was wrong with you, Arsene Wenger? This is not the Arsene Wenger of 10 years ago, who would have been absolutely spitting bullets. And he would have been furious if that, if an Arsenal team had lost, to the hands of, let's face it, Man United's C team. It was Man United's under-21 team. Rashford, who scored for Man U, was making his debut. And the thing that really, really grated me about what Arsene Wenger said was, we cannot question the commitment, spirit, or desire of this team. And I'm thinking, what the fuck were you watching? Theo Walcott touched the ball 17 times in the game. That's £8,300 he earned for every touch. Now, of those touches, 2 of those resulted in Man United goals. In the first half, he completed 4 passes out of 7, and 2 of those were from kickoff. He completed 0 take-ons, completed 0 shots. He didn't touch the ball once in the first half in the Man United penalty box. He completed 0 crosses, and he didn't create a single chance. If you're listening, Walcott, you played like a fucking wanker. That Theo Walcott that day represented everything that is wrong with Arsenal Football Club. There's that blasé performance. He clearly didn't have the bottle, to go up against Carrick, Blind, and Rojo. It was the best opportunity we've had in years. That, ironically, we scored 2 goals when we scored 2 goals. The only time we've scored more than 1 goal at Old Trafford is in the 8-2 loss and on that last weekend. But it was an absolutely disgusting performance from Theo Walcott and from many of the others. Aaron Ramsey was an absolute embarrassment. The Alexis Sanchez is another one. What was Gabriel doing for the first 2 goals? Where was he? It was an absolutely lackluster, awful performance. And Arsene Wenger showed absolutely no humility after the game. He showed no self-awareness, and it's just showing the arrogance of someone who thinks, clearly he's, invincible out of that club. And and I can understand why he thinks that. It's because there's a complete power vacuum above him, where he's responsible to nobody because he employed his own boss. As Henry Winter said in the Times this week, even Gazidis is a respected money man in football, but he's not, he's not seen as a powerful football man. Stan Kroenke's invisible. So who does Wenger actually report to? Nobody. And it's, I think when you look at the manager earning £8 million a year to deliver, mediocre results, let's be honest, the football Arsenal have played this season has by and large been pretty garbage. We had 20 good minutes against Man U when we beat them at home. We played well for an hour, maybe an hour-ish against Man City. And we played well against Bayern Munich at home. But apart from that, the football's been pretty shit, hasn't it? Let's be honest. It's just build up, naive attacks where we leave ourselves exposed, and then by and large Ramsey tries to do a flick or a trick, or so does Giroud, and it just doesn't come off. And the players don't feel any accountability. But why would they? Because Arsene Wenger, who doesn't deliver much, gets £8 million and has no accountability. So it's just risible, the situation where we have the one person at the top, it just permeates through this team now, and it's become such a cancer in this team that there just seems to be no leaders, no people willing to stand up and fight for the team. We have no people like John Terry, no Vieira, and you could see that we were undone by Man United's youth team who wanted it more than us. It's just an absolute disgrace. And Arsene Wenger, his just general mantra this week has been inextricable. And he's, he really has lost touch with the fans, and he's quite rightly being hounded right now. And he really needs to step back and just, consider, why things are going wrong here, and why have we crashed it at the business end of the, why do we not have the squad to ramp out? And it's not, Man United's C team says it all. When they have more ambition to get fifth place than we do. As I said on Twitter earlier, Arsenal were the first team in the history of world football to lose a one-horse race. And that's what Arsene Wenger's done. And that's what he's going to leave on his legacy if he's not careful.
But why does it feel like we've been here before, though, Andrew? Do you think that there's certainly an excuse for lessons not being learned in the past?
I think you can certainly draw parallels to what's happened in future. Listen, Arsene Wenger last year not buying someone was one of the most stupid things he's ever done. And I'll tell you why. Because next summer, we are going to need to let players like Ospina wants out, Szczesny wants out, Gibbs, Debussy, Flamini, Arteta, Rosicky. Walcott's not playing well enough. We need wholesale changes to that squad. And what's going to happen? And Wenger said there's no value in the market. We've got 80 million to spend, but we don't want to spend on anyone. Teams are asking for too high money. What do you think is going to happen next year when clubs get £400 million from TV revenue? It's going to become even harder to replace those people. So he's leaving. There's no lessons learned. That we have no accountability in that team. There's no leaders. We crumble at the same time. But what makes it even more galling this season is that, before you could turn around and you could say, okay, realistically, Man City, you've got oil money, Man United are a much bigger club than us, Liverpool had Suarez, whatever. We are literally, on paper, the strongest team there. This was the best year. And actually, I know it's become quite fashionable now for people to say, if Arsene Wenger doesn't win the league, he should stand down. I called that back in October on this podcast before people were saying that. This is definitely the best chance we'll ever have. These teams are now, we're going to have superstar managers coming in. Every club around us is going to have an incredible budget. So guess what, Arsenal? If you don't think there's value now, just wait till next year when someone like Lukaku is going to cost you £60 million. And we're just absolutely pissing in the wind again. And again, it's because Arsene Wenger, his inflexible nature, he was a great manager for us, and no one can question, what he's done and what he's delivered for this club. But we're stagnating. We have fewer points now at this point of the season than we did last season. which is absolutely laughable when you don't buy a player in the summer because you feel your squad's strong enough to win the league. We're behind Leicester, for fuck's sakes. We're behind Spurs, for fuck's sakes. This was our season, and we're just pissing it away because Arsene Wenger and his principles. And it's just a disgrace. And people are getting on at the fans as though we've cost them. No, we could barely score a goal in August. Our top goal scorer was own goals. In September, we lost to Zagreb and we played pretty crap football. In October, okay, admittedly, we were very good, bar that loss to Olympiacos. We didn't win a single league game in all of November. December, we got hammered 4-0 away to Southampton. And then January, February, March, we've only won 4 league games and we've played pretty dire football. And, the chance now of winning the league is seriously slipping away. And my biggest fear is if we lose to Spurs on Sunday, we'll have Man City only 1 point behind us with a game in hand. And even more worrying is that we've got to go to West Ham away, who would only be, 4 points behind, I believe, if they win as well. So, it's got to that point again now where we've stopped looking at what's in front of us and we actually have to think, shit, look at what's behind us again, And it's just not good enough, not this time.
And so I think it's fair to say that you're probably Wenger out then, Andrew.
My mum the fence on this one, actually.
Danny, you've been very quiet so far. Now I expect lots of expletives from you as well.
No, I'm going to be calm.
Go on, be calm.
Well, if there's anybody still listening that hasn't hung themselves, good luck and thank you. But I've been making a list. Someone sent us a tweet saying, "What was your feelings after the game after the Swansea game?" Well, I made a list. Unmotivated, not me, the club. Unmotivated, lacklustre, lost, apathetic, lack of leadership, lack of direction, confused, desperate, surrender monkeys. That's my favourite one so far. Up for it until the slightest thing goes wrong, then it's sulky time. Man United were massively weakened. They had two central midfielders, defensive midfielders, as their centre-backs. In Danny Blind, as the other Andrew likes to call him, and Michael Carrick, who is officially 103 years old. How about this for a stat? Of the 14 players that they used during that game, Lindegaard, in his entire life, 15 Premier League games, Varela, 3, Rashford, Fosu Mensah, and Weah, all 3 of those made their Premier League debuts. Rashford had only ever played his first game for Man United the few days beforehand. And then you look at the fact that we had 5 days between our games, and they had 3 days between their games. And then the Swansea game, they made 8 changes. They'd obviously come there and thought, if we're lucky, 8 changes, we might just get a draw. And they bloody beat us yet again. And things like for poor old Per. For the first goal, Per didn't even bother trying to turn round. In fact, I've got a webcam set up at Ashburton at the moment. I've just had a look, and Per is still stood there, slowly turning, trying to catch the player who ran through to score the goal. Admittedly, Ashley Williams' goal was, some say, offside. It could be seen as offside, depending. There was a player running away who was definitely on offside. And so that's maybe an excuse, but the way we started that game was absolutely fantastic. It's like Wenger had put a flea in their ear and told him, you get out there and you fucking play properly and you hammer these. And it looked like we were going to hammer them. We hit the bar twice. Other than West Ham, we've hit the bar more times than any other Premier League team this season. And Walcott has done fuck all for the last 2 games, like Andrew was saying. He's now played 17 games since coming back from injury, and he's scored 2 and had 2 assists. And Andrew was saying the games this season have been unacceptable. For a team like ours, in the Premier League as it is at the moment, we should win every single home game, no question about that. The only away games I'd be satisfied with a draw: Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs. Right, they're the only 5 games I'll be happy on going, okay, we got a draw there. But then this season we should beat Liverpool and Man United away because they're both shit. But you look at the list of the games: lost 2-0 to West Ham at home, lost 2-0 to West Ham, 2-1 to Zagreb away, 2-0 to Chelsea away, 3-2 to Olympiacos at home, 3-0 to Sheffield Wednesday away, 5-1 to Bayern Munich away, which is, that's bordering, or maybe we could have got a draw, drawing at home to Spurs, losing away to West Brom, drawing away at Norwich, getting hammered by Southampton, who at the moment can't even bloody keep a clean sheet. Drawing away at Liverpool, another disastrous game. We could have won that game 5-0, they were that bloody bad. An away draw at Stoke. And then home losses to to Barcelona and Chelsea, and then home draws with Southampton and Hull, and then losing 3-2 away against Man United. They were fucking dog shit. There's hardly any Man United fans on the planet who would have, if you'd have said to them, this game's going to be 3-2, they've gone, there's no way we'll win that. It's impossible. And then yet again, we've lost at home to Swansea, who were our bogey team. And then we went there earlier in the season, we beat them, and now we've lost yet again. But to look at how, comparing our last 3 league seasons, this season is our worst in the last 3 seasons, is our worst after 28 games. We've won 15. Last season we'd won 16. Season before that we'd won 18. Each time we're third. It's the least amount of goals we've scored. 44 this, 53 last, 52 the season before that. Our goal difference is the worst. 16. Last it was 23, and the season before that it was 24. And our points this season, 51. Last season 54, and the season before that we had 59 points after 28 games. It's just absolutely diabolical, and the fans are turning so quick on the players, and I can't bloody blame them. Whether you're paying £1, whether you're paying £1,000 a game, it doesn't matter. When you can see the players are out there and they're just running around like headless, clueless fucking surrender monkeys. And why the hell Campbell was taken off? There was one player on that pitch who was playing like he actually gave a fuck, scored the first goal, running his heart out, going in for tackles, and Wenger goes, I know what, yeah, I'll take him off. And then you take off Sanchez. And why the hell is he taking? I mean, Sanchez hasn't done much, but at least he got I'm just looking now, he hit the bar, he got an assist, and he's still taking off. And then you bring on bloody Theo Walcott. I mean, what the hell's going on with that? Does this bloke have any clue what he's doing? And then when he does bring on Walcott, he plays him out wide, rather than trying to play a big man, little man up front and really pushing for the goal. You're losing 2-1 at home. Fuck it, the game's over. Everybody forward and try and do it. And saves to the very last minute is when Czech ran up for the corner, and then they were like so close to, I think it was Ashley Williams, or one of their players got the ball and had a shot. No, it wasn't. It was Gomez. Gomez. Yeah, and it looked like he was almost going to get the shot on goal, and I would have laughed my arse off. I am so fucking angry with the whole fucking thing. Wenger has such what's the word where they don't give a shit about you? Not apathy. I had the word, it's gone there. He doesn't give a shit about what the fans think. The interview he did last night was what? It was about 10 seconds long, and then he walked off again. He is to blame. And then also, people say get rid of Wenger. How about the fact that if the man, Stan Kroenke, cannot run the club at the moment other than to make himself money, do you really think he's going to bring in someone who is going to be as good as Wenger? I don't know. I don't think he will do. I think he'll bring in another yes man, the likes of Remy Gard or Gilles Grimandi or someone else linked to who's been at the club years ago. And there you go. The job is yours. You do as you're told. You're not having any money for players. As long as you finish 4th, I'm happy. It's just the whole thing is straight from the top. Kroenke, then Wenger, then the players. Just get rid of the entire lot.
So basically, in or out, we're doomed. That's what you're saying, Dan?
I have no confidence that Stan Kroenke is going to get a decent manager in, which is why I think with Wenger, with the right kind of, like when, I know, harking back to the old days, when he had David Dean in, David Dean would be his confidant, and he'd have someone that he could talk to and guide him with transfers, and now it's not. Like Andrew said, he picked his own boss. So they're never going to sack him. And at £8 million a year, how about Wenger? You get nothing, and you get paid for every game we win. There you go, £500,000 a win.
We've been doing some polls this week, Danny. You might be interested to hear.
What, the delivery man?
No. But basically, we asked our listeners or our followers on Twitter after the Swansea game, are they Wenger in, Wenger out, or don't care? At that given time, an hour after the game, 36% said yes, we want Wenger in, 48% were out, and 16% didn't care. Now, we run that same poll just after the Manchester United game, and the results are as follows. 11% still want him to be in charge of the club, 69% wanted him out, and 20% of our lovely Twitter following still didn't know.
How do you not fucking know? You should be ashamed of your fucking self.
I think you're in the wrong sport if you don't know.
And that's from almost 1,500 voters in less than 24 hours.
Balls out the bath and make a judgment call.
So do any of you trust Stan Kroenke to bring in a manager who can win stuff? Because I certainly fucking don't.
I don't. Personally, I don't know.
So what? I wouldn't want to take the risk. I'd rather us keep Wenger and keep him at the club, and then just be happy with top four, decent football, decent players, because he's not going to do it. He's not going to get a top-class manager in, because hasn't Sepp Guardiola been saying this week in the papers recently? I think it was maybe yesterday. I saw it on News Now, said that he was interested in the Arsenal job.
Well,
And
So
he's going to be going.
what worries me about the ascent of the next manager is, before the Arsenal board, we had the likes of David Dean, we had Bracewell Smith, we had Edelman, we had Frisman,
Arsenal people.
Fryer. We had a wide range of skills and knowledge on the board. Whereas now, when you look at it, the board is Ivan Gazidis. That's literally the board. Ken Fryer's now in his his early 80s. Arsene Wenger is on the board. He said he's categorically not going to choose the next manager. You've got Stan Kroenke, who doesn't know about football, Josh Kroenke, who doesn't know about football, and then you turn around and you look at the other side of the board when we have the AGM, and it's Lord Harris of Peckham, and it's fucking Sir Chips Keswick, and you think, okay, who would those two want to have as the next Arsenal manager? And I imagine they want bloody fucking Ron Atkinson or Terry Venables. They haven't got a Scooby fucking do about football.
I'd imagine they'd just be happy to put Steve Bold in charge, just because that's the easy option, isn't it?
Steve Bold's far too working class for them, I think. But I'm joking. But we literally are so dependent now that even Gazidis steps up to the plate to find the right manager when Arsene Wenger does leave. Because if he doesn't know, then nobody will know. But you will have candidates who will put themselves forward, but he is literally the only hope we have of finding the right person. There's nobody else on that board with any knowledge of the best way forward. And what I really hope is that when Arsene Wenger does leave, and when he does leave, I'll give all the respect he deserves. But when we move forward in the next Wenger era, I hope we actually become a proper football club again and not a one-man club, because we need to have more people on the board. We need to have a diversity of opinion. It can't just be yes men. It can't just be one CEO who was elected and who was hired by the people who report to him, because that's not right. We should have, more diverse skills on that board. At the minute, the average age is on the board is in the 60s. It's all white males practically. Well, that's just wrong. That's not how a sustainable business works. That's not how a publicly limited traded company works. And we need to really address that power vacuum, because we are missing out. As a club, we are not acting in the way a world-class football club should act. Would Real Madrid or Barcelona rely on one person? No. They have huge teams of clever people all pushing each other and challenging each other and looking to innovate. Whereas we are literally relying on Arsene Wenger, and it seems as though, the genius has dried up in him.
It's a very sad state of affairs. So, Raj, will come to you next, and I guess the question is, the fans seemingly after the Swansea game don't want Arsene Wenger to manage the club anymore. How do you go about, as a fan, putting pressure on the board or the people necessary to get a change? Or do you think there's no point, you can scream and shout as loud as you want, but ultimately the club will decide when he goes?
I don't. It's the latter. The fans have got zero influence on what's going to happen at board level. I don't think the board really care what the fans think. Also, I don't think the board will ever sack Arsene Wenger. I think I've always said all along that the man himself will choose his own destiny on what to do. So we just have to hope that one day he'll make his mind up. But I can rage on about the manager for days and days on end. But the reality is, I wouldn't be at all surprised that he renews his contract next year and he gets another 2 years onto his deal. So I'm just a bit kind of depressed by it all, really, because as Andrew quite rightly said, this was the best opportunity in years for us to win the Premier League. And I know a lot of people say, well, we've still got 10 games to go. Next week they'll say that we've got 9 games to go. But I don't actually think we're going to do it now. And not only a City behind us, 4 points behind us, but United are on the same points as well. So there's 2 clubs actually just sniffing that fourth spot. So, yeah, you're right. We've got to look behind us rather than in front of us. But this summer, everyone's going to go on a spending spree. and it's going to get harder and harder to be competitive in this Premier League. It's going to be really tough to win this one in the next few years. And, we might have 70 or 80 million pounds to spend in the summer. I do not think that is enough money to kind of repair the kind of holes we've created within the squad over the last 12 months. So I think we'll always be playing catch up. And that's the problem I have, is I think even if you go out and spend 70 million pounds, it's just not going to be enough.
That's one player, though, Raj, isn't it? In future.
Well, Andrew's right. The time to have bought these players was over the last 2 summer transfer windows. Now, with the amount of money coming in, we've said this week in, week out, your Lukaku's, who might be worth 25 million pounds now, are going to be worth 45 million pounds, because everyone knows that the Premier League clubs are going to have shed loads of money. So all the overseas clubs are going to be charging hefty prices for their players. Sorry, in the Telegraph today, there was a really good article about Barcelona and the what's their league called? Primera Liga? La Liga, yeah. And Barcelona are quite happy to take on English teams in the Champions League. They know that they're good enough to beat pretty much every single English team that come across. What they're worried about is the strength of the Premier League as a whole in terms of their financial power. And then the Barcelona president is saying that, it's not individual teams. It's the amount of money that league has that's going to be their problem over the next few years, because they can see that maybe not the Messis of the world, but the other squad players may well be attracted to the Premier League, because teams will be offering £150,000, £200,000 a week, which we will certainly not do. So you might think that we're in the shit at the moment, but I don't want to be so negative, but over the next 12, 24 months, it's going to get worse and worse.
Coming in on that, and just where Raj said, that 70, I think the figure we said that we've got to spend in the summer is 75 million. And as Raj says, it's preposterous that we think that, we can rebuild our squad in the way we need to with that money. We just left ourselves. Years and years of neglecting that squad has exposed us. And I remember back in January, we said, this is now literally the time to go out there and buy. I know in January it's hard, but it's the year of the Euros. Look at Matthew Debussy. Players who aren't, players want to play for Arsenal, going into the Euros. Look at Pato winning Chelsea. This was the time to bring in someone experienced, someone who's been there and done that and can calm that team down, someone who could lead. January, what infuriates me is that sat on the podcast in January and said, listen, we need a leader, someone experienced, someone who knows how to win things. And we didn't sign that person, and we got a couple of injuries, and then our whole season seems to have crashed. And it's now got to the point where just years of neglecting the squad. I think a few years ago, it felt like we got rid of, loads of the deadwood, and it was like, finally, Arsene Wenger's become this, this executioner. He's a changed man. Hallelujah. Bentner's gone. Villa, all this shite's gone. But now we're saying we've got 75 million to spend it, and realistically, as I mentioned before, that we got Ospina who's likely to go, Chesney, Debussy, Gibbs, and then Flamini, Arteta, and Rosicky are all, their contracts are up. And you're not going to get much money for those guys. And then we're going to have to start thinking now about a long-term replacement for Santi Cazorla, because look how shit we've fallen without him, and how we just can't rely on Ramsey in the middle. So we need to start looking at a very specific ball-carrying midfielder. Is that going to be someone like Isco, who we're linked to? And that's going to take up 20, 25, 25, 30 million of the budget. I think realistically, we've seen that we don't have anyone who can play on the right wing. We haven't had a natural right winger for years. Campbell's done well, but is he good enough to play there consistently and win you the league? Maybe, probably not. Theo Walcott, definitely not. And Chamberlain, you just can't rely on him. We need someone on the left and on the right who will score you between 10 and 15 league goals a season. And then you need Ozil to be getting that as well. And realistically, they just don't do that. So we need to buy someone there. And we also need to buy a long-term replacement for either Koscielny or for Mertesacker, because that defence isn't good enough. And we need to bring in a top superstar there as well. And then, realistically, I think we might even have to look at replacements for Ox and Theo and sell those guys, because they're just not producing anymore and we can't afford to carry them. So that's 11 players right there. And you're telling me 75 million. It's just not enough. It's just
we can't get rid of 11 players. I'll tell you that. We cannot afford to get rid of. We will not get rid of Theo. We will probably not get rid of Oxlade, Chamberlain. I will put money on it that Flamini will get an extra year on his contract because we can't afford to replace them. They might not be good enough to play. I mean, certainly Flamini, Arteta and Rosicky probably are the top of the list. Rosicky and Arteta will definitely go, I think. Arteta's going to go to City to coach. But
What, Man
I wouldn't.
City?
Yeah. But
Really?
I think, he's mates with Pep. I've heard that he's going to go and do his badges there.
They were, I think, wasn't he? Arteta was a Barcelona youth player.
Yeah, he's best mates with Pep. So
how about this for chances created this season in the Premier League? 349 chances we've created. Ozil, 115. That's one chance every 20 minutes. Sanchez has got 38. That's one chance every 41 minutes. Cazorla missed half the season. 36 chances, one every 32 minutes. Ramsey, 31 every 69. Giroud, 25 every 76. Monreal, I mean, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our sixth most creative player is Monreal. 23 every 106 minutes. Ox, 19 every 49 minutes. Walcott, 17, one every 76 minutes. Bellerin, 15 every 156, which is, you don't really mind. Campbell, 10, one every 86 minutes. And then Cos has got 8, Coquelin 2, Flamini 3, and Per 2, Chambers 1, Gibbs 1, Gabriel and Arteta none. I mean, for Ozil to have 115 chances, and our next one is Sanchez, who's missed half a season on 38, and Cazorla on 36. Then Ozil, how annoyed must Ozil be for those to have created 349 chances? And how many goals have we scored this season? Out of 349, we scored 44. I mean, Ozil has got to be pulling his hair out. I mean, how the hell is that bloke? It's like he's speaking a different language from those people because they're all missing. All these chances have been created. Now, I haven't seen a thing on who had the chances and where the chances went, but if we'd have had someone on the same level as Ozil, we'd be 10 points clear at the top of the table by now. And this is something that, like you two were just saying, this needs to be addressed in the summer before the likes of Ozil and Sanchez decide to leave. And Cazorla hasn't got many more years left in him. It's just so frustrating. And we have got, I think I heard, wasn't it, I think Arscast was saying on there that at the end of last season, we had 41% of all the available transfer cash in the Premier League. Or listen to the Arscast podcast, the midweek one that was done a couple of days ago, and they go into a little bit more detail. But that's roughly, we have all the transfer kitty that the entire Premier League had, half of it was ours. And year after year, it's not getting spent. And year after year, the AGM thing gives out the money that we've got 200 million, 220 million. And at the end of this season, when all the transfer, when people buy players off of us and they don't pay it all in one go, they pay it in what's the word for it, instalments. That when we get those instalments at the end of this season, we're going to have close to £250 million, I think they were saying. I mean, how can they justify not reinvesting that into the squad? It's fucking bullshit. And spending 140 grand a week on a player like Walcott that all season has created 17 chances and scored 3 or 4 goals all competitions. That's why we're so rubbish, because you've got so many players that shouldn't be there, like you two were just saying.
Yeah, the other thing you got to add in is that the value of the pound is going to go down over the next couple of months.
It has. It's dropped to its lowest in 7 years compared to the dollar.
Because of this Brexit thing, where if we do go out of Europe, it's 50 million euros would cost you.
Well, we go out of Europe every season, right?
Yeah, exactly. A 50 million euro player would cost us about 38 million pounds at the moment. But if it goes down to 1.1 or something, it's going to cost us 46 million pounds. So, it may be the wrong time to spend money as well, because it's not going to be worth it. That 70 million pounds is not going to be worth as much as it was 12 months ago. I'm sure Andrew can help me out on this one.
Yes, I mean there is the currency one there, and as we said, it would have been good to lock in the value last year when the pound was strong. The pound actually was quite robust during the Scottish independence. But what I would say on the currency debate is that having cash in the bank in football is a false economy. Cash in the bank doesn't win you the league. It doesn't score you goals. It doesn't support you home and away. Cash in the bank for a football club is entirely redundant. And if you look at the industry of football, there's no I can't think of any commodity in the world, be it oil. Look at the price of oil. Look at the price of sugar. Look at the price of futures on obscure products. When you look at the investment in a football player, and there's no asset appreciating quicker than a football player. If you, as we mentioned, you buy Lukaku last year for 25 million. He's now worth 40 million. So you think of all that cash you've got in the bank. The time value of money, I think I worked out last year. So 80 million last year was now worth about 72 million in today's market in terms of the time value of money inflated for football. So you think, actually, to hedge against that, I buy a footballer and the footballer's value is going to go up. And it's a better investment of my money to buy someone and take a punt, and if it doesn't work out, I know I can still get top dollar from a sale from him. So it's ludicrous, this idea that cash in the bank is an asset for us. It's literally it's depreciating over time, and the less and less we spend, the more tax we're going to have to pay on that as well.
Mm. Right, it's all very sombre this week, isn't it?
Should we call it quits now? I've got ice cream waiting for me.
Yeah. Well, no,
Can I just say
look, we're all passionate fans, and we're in the shits at the moment. That's the thing, and let's not forget we've got a massive game coming up on Saturday, and I actually feel nauseous about it thinking about it now. And if the worst happens, then it's just going to get worse and worse, and it can't be defended. It just can't be defended anymore. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just so tired of it all.
It's the same every season, though, isn't it? It's same old. Teams drop below us, teams go above us, but there we are, 4th place. And apparently, if we finish 4th again, that's 4 fourth place trophies that make us a special one made of unicorn tears.
I tell you, watching the game last night, there was one piece of play which has literally summed up the season for me. And I think we got the ball on the edge of our own area, and Sanchez was tripped up by one of their players. I can't remember who. It was in the second half. And the referee looked to play to give us a free kick, but the ball trickled to Ramsey, and so he played the advantage. And on the edge of our own area, Ramsey's done 3 pointless Cruyff turns, literally flicks and tricks for no reason. He's got himself tackled, and the referee's just stopped and pulled it back for the free kick, which we should have had. And it's like, that is just so Arsenal. So disappointing.
Danny.
Hello. Do you want me to give you another little kick? Give all the listeners another little kick in the testicles?
And then save us with some Twitter questions.
Okay, I've done some statistics. I got the old abacus out. Over the last 3 seasons, how many games do you reckon Jack Wilshere has averaged in the Premier League?
7.
3.
9.
10.
Oh, right. I mean, Mr. Fife, closest. Rosicky?
4.
3.
7.
Oh, Fife again. 8. And Arteta. This one is a tricky one.
11.
3.
Oh, no. Because he's barely played this season, but the other two did. I would say 15.
11.
Fucking get in.
So you work out how much those people are earning. Between those 3 players, that's 19, that's 27 games in the Premier League in 3 seasons between those 3 players. Doesn't that just really sum up everything that's wrong with the club?
And but then they all talk about how they're making money and sitting on cash resources. I wonder how much those 3 are on a week.
Well, 3 years is probably about £8 million in wages, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't we work out that it costs Arsenal just over £1 million for every time Theo Walcott scores in the salary?
Yeah.
Wow.
But there again, out of those 3 players, Arteta's in those 3 seasons played 33, Rosicky 22, and Jack has played 28. But then that's played, that's not started. So that's not a single one of them has started a game all seaon. Go on.
The other funny thing is that I've got loads of mates who support other football clubs. And they always, when I have a moan and stuff, they say, they've Arsene Wenger's brilliant. He's a great manager. Blah blah blah. You're lucky to have him and all that. In the space of 2 weeks, they've all changed. Adam from the band texted me today, and he said, I said to him, I'm a bit depressed today. He said, because you've got a team of pampered bottlers. And this is from a Geordie. This is from a Geordie who's a season ticket holder at Newcastle with his team second from bottom, and he's completely depressed. But even he's changed his tune. So it's just like, everyone's just taking the piss now.
But they all get it though. They can all tell us what's wrong with our club. So if our fans know, and all the opposition fans know, and everybody in the media, they all know. Everybody seems to know, but nothing gets done about it. I think you start with the top. I think the problem is you get an owner who actually gives a shit. And then maybe from there, you go from there.
Adam, he's massive fan of the way Arsenal play, and he's always going on about Ozil and Sanchez and stuff. But for him to come out with pampered bottlers, and it's like, oh my God, even he's
Surrender
changed this.
monkeys.
Yeah,
I just want to say before we move on, there's been a lot of vitriol towards the Arsenal fans today, and I think it's almost become trendy, a trendy way to move away from the blame again, and it's been trendy to blame the Arsenal fans. But I want to give a massive amount of credit to the Arsenal fans that went to Old Trafford, because for 90 minutes, the Arsenal team clearly didn't give a fuck about winning that game. They did not give a shit. Even when we scored, they didn't celebrate. But for the full 90 minutes, 3,000 Arsenal fans completely outsung 72,000 Man United fans. And they were brilliant away, as they always are. And I think it's got to the point now where this deflection tactic to somehow blame the fans for Arsenal's form is really riling me. And what I would say is, I don't agree with booing in the stadium and during the match. It's hard to bite your tongue. And I think some of the things levied at Wenger. There was one point last night where people who know where I sit right behind Wenger, and some guy stood up and he shouted at Arsene Wenger, "You're ruining this club." And Arsene Wenger looked at him in the face and just kind of shook his head. But I don't necessarily agree with that, but people booed at the end. But Arsenal fans have put up with so much over the last 12 years, and people say Arsenal fans have a sense of self-entitlement because they pay the most money. Bollocks! We just want to see some passion from our players. We don't have to win the league every year. We don't have to win every game. We just want to see them try. And at the minute, it feels like the players, if they, the fans are Arsenal. Fans are Arsenal. The players come and go. They're ambassadors. But if they don't work their bollocks off, of course they're going to get shouted at. And the fans have given their all for Arsenal this season. And I can't say the same about the players. And people having to go at the fans. I get that everyone's upset and emotions are high, but just take a step back, because a lot of the people who are, having a dig at the fans are those most comfortable about high ticket prices. But I don't see them complaining when we say how high ticket prices are it's pricing up those most passionate fans. So I think we should applaud some fans on the back, and that's what I wanted to say.
Well, Danny, save us with Twitter questions.
Oh dear. Actually, that's some pretty decent ones. Thank you very much, as usual, to all you wonderful people. Nicola, how do you say Nicolaj? Do you pronounce the J? I don't think you do. Nicola Thelis. Is there a risk that Mesut will leave this summer? What do you guys think? Go on, Gimli. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there's a very valid.
Would you say Bayern, or would you say Man City, or
Bayern.
Chelsea?
It'll be Bayern, won't it? Let's be honest. If he goes, I think, as the boys have alluded to on this podcast, that he'll become increasingly frustrated in becoming a diamond among bits of coal. I think he's a wonderful player, and unfortunately, he's not got in front of him what he needs to take it to the next level. How can you play for a team like Real Madrid and then have to suffer that shower of shite on Saturday, and then last night you just can't do it? I think he will go. I believe it'll be him or Alexis as well, because I can't see Alexis staying for long. But Raj, you're of a very similar opinion, aren't you?
I think one of Ozil or Sanchez will go. I keep hearing the same thing from people that know a lot more than me, that Pep's going to go in for Sanchez this season. He's a big fan of his, even though he let him go Barcelona, but that was only because Neymar was coming in. And I've also heard from the same people that Alexis's head will be turned, because I think he's getting a bit frustrated.
It's not just the money, though, is it?
It's not the money. These two guys have come from successful clubs.
But
they're used to winning stuff, and they're looking at the manager saying, "Well, hold on, I'm the last big player you bought. I know we got Czech last summer, but it's been 2 years since we got Sanchez, and we haven't really bought any players outfield players of any note since. So yeah, surely I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's what I've heard, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But I would say one or both. I think one of the two will go. Yeah.
Mr. Fife, you got any wise words for the listeners?
I mean, Arsene Wenger was asked this week in the press conference, are there new deals on the table for Ozil and Sanchez? And he just very quickly said no. I mean, you have to take what he says with a pinch of salt. He's been very forthcoming in recent years around Theo Walcott's new deal twice, and he's been very forthcoming about Nacho Monreal's deal. So I'm not sure if I believe him, but I mean, there are reports that they're going to be offered £200,000 a week. It's a lot of money. Are they going to be guaranteed to get that elsewhere? Maybe, maybe not. If Bayern Munich came in for Ozil and I was him, I would be tempted to go. And I say that purely from the perspective of someone who isn't an Arsenal fan. Who's from Germany, been playing for their biggest club. Alexis, Man City. Not sure we'd do that deal, but yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% confident they'll stay, but 200 grand's a lot of money, and money talks, and they get 200 grand a week for coming fourth and no pressure. Well, I don't know. They're not Arsene Wenger, I guess, but it's not looking good.
It's not looking good at all. I personally think that Ozil and Sanchez and maybe a couple of others will leave just because they get fed up of the atmosphere at the stadium because the fans have had enough, and it's just how quickly did it turn against Swansea instantly?
I think Ramsey is one that will go. I honestly
I'm not blaming the fans at all.
But that is a very good point, Danny. The fans are on top of the players, and yes, last night was horrendous. I'm not a booer. I will not boo the team how badly they play.
No, I never have either.
And I got into a row with someone like 2 rows ahead of me who said...
Did they ever find the body?
Well, I mean, I nearly got thrown out. He said the most horrendous... I'm not going to even repeat it, but he said the most horrendous thing at Arsene Wenger last night, which even I can't condone. It was disgusting. But the toxicity of the place was unbelievable. And it was all right until Campbell got subbed. And then it's like, what the fuck is he doing?
He mouthed something as he walked off, didn't he?
He didn't look happy from where I was, but then I looked at the highlights later on, and he was fuming.
You watched the highlights. That's brave of you.
But you should see Ozil's turning his. Even Ozil couldn't work out why it was happening. So that's when it all kicked off. And then after that, you just they're on a loser then. So yeah, the players can be put off by that, and they might. It's a very good point that do they want to spend another 5 years with the fans on them? But then only one man can sort all that out.
What also worries me is the lack of youth players come through. I don't ever remember in my entire life as a Gooner having such a poor amount of youth players coming through the system. And how much money have we spent on that with all those years of wage parity for like Bentner and Giroud when they were coming through? And now we've got virtually nothing. I think the only bright sparks we've got, John Terrell, and, that's probably about it.
What about Jeff? Jeff is...
He's too young, isn't he? He's only about 18. Yeah, maybe there's one or two. I mean, I'm no expert on it. I read the stuff out every week and I look at the results. But the kids that are out on loan are not really doing anything. They're not getting regular places. The 2 at Hull aren't regular starters. I mean, Isaac Hayden, he's nothing to do with the team at the moment.
Is Gnabry even alive?
Gnabry will never make it. I mean, no. Tony Pulis said he wasn't good enough for West Brom. And then speaking of youngsters, listen, I like the kid, and I think he's got a bright future at Arsenal, so this isn't in any way criticism of him. But why was Arsene Wenger bringing on Iwobi when we were chasing the game at Old Trafford? Why didn't he bring off...
Never scored a professional goal in his life.
We had Joel Campbell on the bench, who's, who... And by the way, Joel Campbell must be seriously pissed off because he was in a real rich vein of form before Wenger. I think it was the Bournemouth away, he dropped Campbell for Oxlade-Chamberlain. And then it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? It reminds me of, at Man U when Van Gaal lets Ashley Young play. And Ashley Young plays written, but the thing is, Ashley Young plays well for like 4 or 5 games. And then he fizzles out and then he gets replaced. Whereas Joel Campbell was actually scoring and he was getting assists. And then Wenger just pulled him off. And Wenger just pulled him off and put Theo there because Wenger doesn't think he's the right player. But on the weekend we brought on Iwobi, and listen, I've got nothing against Iwobi. I think he's played very well in the FA Cup games he's played in. He's been one of our best players, but he was like a rabbit in the headlights at Old Trafford. We've thrown him into the deep end and, slapped him on the arse and took off his rubber armbands and told him, go swim. And he lost every ball. He was consistently tackled, and that's not me blaming it. You can't. We're literally throwing these kids under the bus, and it's like what we did with Chambers last year. Why are we doing that? And it wasn't as though Iwobi was up against hard competition. He was up against another left back making his first ever game for Man U, who I think was 17. But it was just such a large occasion.
Is that Varela bloke?
No, Varela was right back. It was the guy who came on for Marcus Rojo, who went off injured. And you're like, and that's another point. Varela got a booking in the first 10 minutes. Varela got booked, and then Michael Carrick got booked, and I started rubbing my hands. I was like, oh, we're really going to capitalise on this here, and we just didn't. We just fell apart.
Was it that young bloke Weir?
Or
Fosu Bensa?
That's it. Fosu Bensa. He came on, and we made lo and behold, he makes someone else look like Roberto Carlos. And I just don't get why. Again, listen, Iwobi, I'm sure he's got a great future at Arsenal. But what is that substitution all about, Arsenal? What has your substitutions been about for most of the season? Okay, very good substitutions against Leicester. But apart from that, fucking hell.
It annoys me that the only time I ever see any passion from Wenger is when he's shouting at the fourth official, or last night he was managing to shout at the referee, the linesman and the fourth official at the same time. That's the only time you see any passion from him. And as a player, I'd look at that and I think, I know people hate him, but Jurgen Klopp, you look at the way he celebrates and he kicks every ball, he celebrates every goal, and then when he concedes a goal, which is quite a lot lately, but then they lost the League Cup final, the next game they come back and smack Man City 3-0. That's the kind of stuff you want from a manager. That's why I love that bloke. He's fucking. Remember, I've supported Dortmund for 20 years, or followed Dortmund for 20 years, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. Shall I ask another question?
Go.
One of the evil Hardwick brothers, Simon, says, do you think it's time Kroenke grew some balls and sacked Arsene Wenger? Enough is enough. Okay, yes or no, Gimli?
Yes, but it won't ever happen.
Oh, Fife.
Yeah, although I'd rather see Arsene resign in just out of decorum. I think it will. I like Arsene. Listen, I love Arsene Wenger. I have a lot of respect for him. And I'd rather he went out in a way which was dignified and with decorum, rather than being known as the Arsenal manager who was sacked. I'd rather he went on his own terms, but now, not later.
Reverend?
No, I don't think he'll sack him.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he will.
But do you want him to?
Nope.
No, I'm not really a sacking type of person.
No,
I've still got respect for the manager. I just think his time's up. I just think he's stale. And sometimes, like I've had an employee at my company who's been with me for 25 years, and a couple of years ago I had to move him on because I needed to bring someone in younger who had fresher ideas and who could help me keep the company profile going. That's the most important thing. And I was nice to the guy. I didn't sack him or anything. I just, it had to be done. Sometimes you have to do these hard decisions. It doesn't matter how long he's been at the club.
You gave him a nice payoff, though, I bet, didn't you?
I did. I looked after him, but that was just an analogy. But I'm just saying, it's nothing nasty about moving someone on.
Nothing vicious.
It's nothing vicious. It's just do it the right way. Do it in a structured way. Do it positively in some way. As Daniel Cowan said, he's in favour of positive change, and I agree with that.
Maybe
so, I'm not espousing sacking.
Maybe
David, there's no way. Sorry,
maybe
sorry.
I was going to say maybe Stan Kroenke could do like what David Brent did in the office that time and line them up and just go to Monreal, you're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your job. You're to Arsene.
Yeah.
Or I think it would be better if Arsene got the guitar out and played some songs.
Did a little sexy dance. I also think that the winning those two FA Cups has papered over the cracks, because I said this on Twitter the other day that we played a Hull team. We struggled to get past Wigan, and then we played a Hull team who got relegated the next season. Then we beat Villa, who were one of the worst teams in the last decade in the Premier League. We beat those two teams, and they said, oh, but we beat Liverpool and Man United and Spurs to get to the final. Yeah, but it's not playing those teams up to those games. The semi-finals and the finals, and when big games like that is when we tend to bottle it. I'm not taking away anything from the fact that we won back-to-back FA Cups. That's brilliant, and I think we could win this one as well if things go right with some other teams having gone out. But I just think if we'd have played a Man United or Chelsea or Liverpool in any of those finals, it probably wouldn't have been as easy. We may not have won them.
All it proves, Danny, is that it is there. We've got the big games in us. We just haven't got the fight or bottle to continue that over the course of a season.
I mean,
it's so hard.
They say people get more stubborn with age. And I think what really, really typified it for me this week was Arsene Wenger was asked, and it was I watched the press conference. Arsenal put it on live, and they said, one of the journalists, I can't remember whom, he said, it's been levied at Arsenal that there's no leaders at the team anymore. What's your take on that? And Arsene Wenger just turned around and said, we have leaders in every single position, and in my mind, I think in Arsene's mind, he thinks that's a very clever question because he likes to, he likes this image of him being this philosophical, intelligent person. But the reality of what it was just a laughably comical response. There's no leaders in that team anymore, and there's no leaders because he doesn't want people who are going to challenge him.
If Theo Walcott is a leader, then that is truly the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
He was trying to infer that the whole team kind of have this kind of collective responsibility type of mentality or whatever. But in reality, title challenges can't be sustained by a team which doesn't have dominant personalities. You've got to have a dominant personality. Keane at Man United, Vieira. You've got to have one person who's going to be who can bring the team together and issue the bollockings and kick people up the arse and actually speak for the players with the manager as well. And that's not happening at the moment. It's devolved into this kind of diluted responsibility across the pitch, and it's showing in the way they're playing because no one's taking the game by the scruff of the neck.
I mean, I think someone said it before. We seem to be now a club of existentialists, always in an existentialist crisis. Every single one of those players that we have on that team, which lost the other day, are capable of putting in world-class shifts. That's not, to coin a cliche. They can be, but they're all confidence players. And you need to have a balance between confidence and determined grit players who, I know I've before on this podcast, talked about how we kind of sometimes overrate qualities such as, grit and spirit and bulldog. But you do need to have that element, as you mentioned, the Vieiras, the Terrys, the Gerrards, people that will win you games and drag games by the scruff of the neck into victory. And we just don't have that anymore. I think the only leader we need now is the Pied Piper to, take all those fuckers away up to Man City and just start again on a fresh new canvas. That's the only leader we need.
Wow. God, that's good. There you go. Don't ever say that we don't give in-depth answers to your wonderful questions. Saying that, this is another yes or no question from Davey Boyd. Says, do the panel think Wenger has lost the dressing room, judging by our recent insipid displays? Raj, do you think we've lost the dressing room, yes or no?
No, I don't think so. I think they're in a comfort zone, aren't they? The players. He coddles the players coddle the manager, and that's where we are at the moment. So he hasn't lost. I had a suspicion they might have. Jeff's told me last night that that they're still all together, but it's just kind of they just wank each other off, don't they? They're all there, just collect the money at the end of the week, and there's no responsibility.
Jesus, Gimli, thoughts?
Oh no, I don't think he's lost the dressing room. I do think there's a certain element of, like, you see the pissing about in the tunnel before the game. You go back to the times when we were successful. You remember the times Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane in the tunnel, Phil Neville and Gary Neville getting abuse off of the Arsenal players. You don't seem to see that anymore. And I think Raj is right on what he touched on. There seems to be that nice little fluffy atmosphere around the team where they're all best buds and they'll piss about. And when it comes to game day, they'll go out and play, but no one's held accountable. There's no, God, you know what? If we go out and lose this, we're fucked. There's no worry. There's no, if we go out and lose it, the manager is gonna absolutely rip our throats out. You look at and it pains me to say it, the team that Alex Ferguson had in that last year at Manchester United. How did he get a title-winning performance out of that team? Arsenal were no different to that, except I think Arsene Wenger he treats them more like his friends and his children than he does his players. And any atmosphere like that resonating from the dressing room, although it's good to have a good morale and a good, strong group of players, I think when people stop becoming accountable for losing football matches, then you really have to look at the issues and say, is it too light and fluffy around the dressing room? Or maybe we need to breathe a little fire.
I think you've nailed it there, Gimli. And just to put it succinctly, he's clearly he still has the dressing room's respect, but they clearly don't fear him. And I think that you need to have a healthy balance between respect and fear of your football manager, and clearly that's not there. And I do think some of that's come down to the fact he's dropped the ball too many times. If you look a couple of years ago, when we lost Nasri and Fabregas in one season, and the fans were livid. Then we lost Van Persie the season after, and the fans were livid. And then Theo Walcott's contract came up for renewal. And let's be honest, Theo Walcott has been a very bang average player for Arsenal over his 10 years at the club. But he managed to single-handedly pull down Arsene Wenger's pants and fucking rim him a new one. And he embarrassed Arsene Wenger by getting a huge salary he didn't deserve, because he knew that the fans were so angry at Arsene for letting those players go that he could get whatever he wanted. And he did. And how can you have fear for the manager when you can con him for 10 years and get 140 grand a week out of him? You don't. I mean, they respect him and they love him because he says to them, go on, go out there and play on a blank canvas. Be artists. He lets them play with their own vision and he lets them express themselves. We always hear that phrase. He lets them express themselves artistically. I mean, they're football players. They need to have systems and formations and tactics. They need to, be able to have that flair. But unless they have power behind them, and they have that core behind them holding it together and that spine, we're just going to fall apart. And I don't think that, as you said, there's not enough fear of the manager in there.
See, again, it's building on that point, Andrew. You've got players like Theo Walcott in that dressing room who thinks he's a worldie. Why hasn't anyone pulled him aside and gone, Theo, you need to have a look at your stats, mate. You're obviously not as good as you think you are. But they're all in that dressing room. Oxlade-Chamberlain probably thinks he's a worldie. Again, another player that has been near on useless for us this season.
Tony Adams would have pulled them to one side. And he would say, listen, son, stop playing like a fucking wanker. You play for Arsenal. This isn't Yeovil Town. Up your game or get out. And that's how it would have been. And that was winners. And that's why when people have a go at the old players, they always criticise the old players. They always say, oh, look, they're Arsene Wenger out. They're an embarrassment. People like Ian Wright, Tony Adams, Martin Keown. They've all won stuff. Yeah, they've all won stuff because they were absolute winners. And okay, maybe they look at an era, they're looking at it from the perspective of an era gone by now, and stuff like, camera phones went around in their day. But they've won stuff. They knew what it took. This current lot, it's just, it's too jokey. It's just not good enough.
Do you think, Andrew, as well, every single Arsenal fan that supported Arsenal for at least 10 years will remember, the saying, you play for the badge on the front of the shirt and everybody will remember the name on the back. Do you think that the difference between that time and the time now is they're all playing for the name on the back of the shirt?
I think,
That's a bloody good point.
I think that that's very true at Arsenal, but I do think that's almost a system. That's something that's a plague within football. I think that's when you look at footballers now, it's all about me, 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 me. And I don't know if it's. I heard people joke. It's it's the FIFA generation of footballers. Everyone's growing up playing FIFA, thinking they're the individuals, so we absolutely adore the individual players. Whereas back in the day, we loved the team players, the players that give everything for the team. Now, when someone takes a penalty, it's all about the penalty for them. It's not about the penalty for the team. Do you know what I mean? It's all about the players like Ronaldo, absolute wankers. And I think people, as you're right, it was an absolute honour for people like Tony Adams to play for Arsenal. Whereas I think now people like Walcott can look at it. Walcott's a Liverpool fan, and if he doesn't get a big contract from Arsenal, he knows he can realistically go to someone like Liverpool or Everton and get huge money. Does it bother him whether Arsenal? Does it bother him? Probably not. He's a professional, and it doesn't feel like the pride is there to want to win for Arsenal as much as what they used to be.
See, I think to further back up, the sentiment that's been made, you've only got to remember, would Theo Walcott have captained Arsenal? Or would you have got one of the Arsenal players back in the day, captain in the team for the day, just because it was his 10 years? That's exactly the nicey, touchy-feely, let's do a chest bump at the end of the game. It's wonderful for the fans, but unfortunately, it's wonderful to see the players getting on and that kind of atmosphere and camaraderie around the team. But fuck me, I want to see us win the league. I'd rather play, a team that, has more of a football understanding than are friends and see them win the league. Do you know what I mean?
10, 15 years ago, Theo Walker wouldn't have even got on the bench of this club. We had Will Tord and Canoe on the bench every game. Think of how good they were then. They would start every single game for us now. Every single game they would start. I mean, we've just fallen so much in quality, and I don't expect us to be as good as the Invincibles because, of course, they were invincible for a reason. They were a once-off. But how can you have that drop in quality now and expect to win the league? It's just laughable.
My answer to the question is the other players, all those players who are in the dressing room, they know something about football, and they must think in their head, why the hell is Theo Walcott playing ahead of Campbell? Why the hell has the manager done this? Why the hell, when we need a goal, does he bring on El Neni or bring on Flamini, and rather than bring on a striker and pushing everybody up to try and score a goal? He doesn't. And he just, no, plan A, no matter what, plan A. And then some of those professionals there have got to be thinking, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? Why is he show such favouritism to certain players? Right, there's someone's just tweeted something that's quite interesting. This is Tim Hardwick. Is that the other one to the who asked the question earlier? Simon Hardwick. Oh yeah, Tim has retweeted something from someone called Embrace Change, which is Rick Woodcock. At Rick Woodcock, it says.
And did he?
In the Premier League this season. Then there's Olivier Giroud. The Frenchman is the club's top scorer with 12 Premier League goals this season. This is from Sky Sports, he thinks. But Arsenal fans will tell you he could have had a lot more. The striker has missed 68.4% of clear-cut chances to fall his way. Of Premier League strikers to have scored over 7 goals this season, Giroud has the worst big chance conversion rate of them all. Anyone got any thoughts on that?
He's playing at his level. Do you mean he's a 12 to 18 goal per season striker who might get the odd 20 goals, including cup competitions, but he's playing at the level. It's not the level that we require at the club, but you can't criticise him.
He's adapted his game lately and set up some beautiful goals, and he's all over the place.
Yeah,
he's been asked to do so much other work. He's a similar player to Alan Smith. You never would have got Alan Smith defending at the far post or be covering at right back. He'd be going, give the ball to me, I'm the goal scorer. This is so hard for Giroud. He gets so much grief at times, but he works his arse off.
In any other club, in any other big club, he'd probably be number 2 and number 3. Unfortunately, he's number 1 at the Arsenal, and there's a lot of pressure on him to score goals. But he's playing to the best of his ability. Now the question is should we be expecting to buy someone who is better than him? The answer is yes. I certainly wouldn't get rid of him because he's done what he could do at this club, and he's more often than not he's playing above his level. So I'm not going to criticise him.
But he is what you pay for, Raj. He's a
£12
million striker.
Yeah, he's a very good club player.
Mesut Ozil is a £40 million player, and you expect him to play at that level, and he does every week.
He hasn't recently, but I see what you're saying. But I don't expect anything more from Olivier Giroud. He does what he's paid to do. But I do think that we should be going out and getting someone better than him to at the very least, to take some pressure off him. He misses chances because he is that kind of player. That's all it is.
But we'll get sold the line that Danny Welbeck's coming back now. He's like a new signing.
No, he's the same level as Olivier Giroud. He's never going to score 30 goals a season. Theo Walcott isn't going to score. Theo Walcott 1 goal in 11. Sanchez 0 in 10. Olivier 0 in 10. I mean, it's not good enough.
On Giroud himself, I mean, I think he really typifies this current Arsenal era for me. And I'm not going to criticise Giroud in so much as I've come on the pod, and I actually really do like Giroud's work rate. He gives a lot for the team, and he does care. When I talk about players don't care, Walcott wanker doesn't care. And I do think Giroud feels pain, and he does want to win, and he gets a lot of stick from the crowd because he's not Henry, because he's not Anelka, he's not Ian Wright, he's not Bergkamp, and he's not that kind of player. But one thing that does frustrate me about Giroud, and I see he represents that team as a whole, is he's just such a nearly player. He tries so many flicks and tricks which nearly come off, but they never quite do. And he hit that shot last night where he hit the crossbar from 6 yards out because he hit it with as hard as he could, and it was an absolute thunderbolt. And you think, you remember that time against Man U when he hit the crossbar from like 35 yards out, and you're thinking, I can't think of. There's not a team in world football like Arsenal which are just full of such nearly players. Aaron Ramsey nearly nutmegged someone. So we have all these shots which nearly go in. We hit the post so often. It's good and it's fun to watch, but unless you have clinical, cold-hearted winners who are just focused on nothing but, and they have the ability to pull it off, you're not going to be challenging for the Champions League, and you're not going to be running away with the league like we really should be. And I do feel sorry for some of the stick Giroud gets on the basis he's not Thierry, but at the same time, I do think that kind of player who can't quite pull off what we need is kind of why we're not, at the elite level right now. As we say, though, it's entirely not Giroud's fault. He's been brought in to replace Van Persie by Wenger, who's otherwise not filled his duties.
I think we got very, very good value for money in Olivier Giroud, and as much as he is,
we did.
As much as he is a £12 million player, we have got every bit of that back for him. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you not think that he deserves a lot of credit for how much he's come on as a football player?
Yeah,
I remember in his first year, without wanting to be harsh, because it's always hard transitioning from a foreign league. Perez wasn't great, but Giroud was actually a pretty poor footballer. He was very slow on the ball. He was very slow in his decision making. He rarely beat players for pace or skill. He rarely brought. I think he didn't score a match-winning goal for us in his first season. I think all his goals were, in effect, second or third. Didn't ever really score against big teams. He got dropped a bit for Podolski. And then that summer, he just really changed his attitude. And he made that position his own, and he works his arse off. And he's become a much more skillful player. I know he still does the odd little silly thing, but he just, leaps and bounds. And I think he deserves a lot of credit.
I remember in that second season that he came back, Andrew. He looked much fitter, much sharper. He was faster.
Yeah.
He looked like he'd been conditioned over that time. But you say that, you look at how much that £12 million player has come on. Just imagine what would have happened if we'd have signed a world-class one,
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next question. This is from someone called Mickey Bricks. It's a two-parter. Would Giroud get more goals with balls played in the air instead of to his feet? And should Alexis and Ramsey get dropped? When Giroud was at Montpellier, I think that season most of his goals come from headers, which is not something we do. So, do you think we should try and play more to the in the air for him to header? Because look at the goal he headed down for Ozil to score, and then didn't he get one for Walcott as well? It's a while ago now, and I've had a lot of tears between then and now. So should we go more kind of long ball, get balls high up in the air?
Why not? Give it a go. Try anything at the moment. He's very good with the headers as well, isn't he? So.
And how about Ramsey and Alexis being dropped?
Yeah.
If so, who for?
Forget about the value of a player. If he's not playing well, drop him.
It's hard.
Can you risk dropping Alexis? That would be such a calamitous.
Move him to the right.
Such a massive decision to drop one of your biggest players because he hasn't done much.
Can you drop Ramsey at the minute? He's not playing well, but who else?
We haven't got anyone.
Precisely.
So the team. That's the other problem. Is the team picks itself.
And people shouting for El Neni. You can't really bring a player in of that quality. He's not bad, but he's not good. You can't just get someone and chuck him in and go, there you go, son. He's no world-class player that can come in and adapt instantly. Wenger's doing the right thing with him. Keep him on the bench all the time. Give him a few starts in the FA Cup and bring him on as sub every now and then. Get him used to the flow of the game. If you chuck him in, it's going to be a baptism of fire, and he's going to have I don't know, but I'd imagine he'd have a nightmare.
And then the fans would turn on him, and then he'd be shit before he'd even been given a proper chance. Exactly. Very much in the same way Jenkinson was in that game that Raj talked about against Man United, the 8-2.
No, it's probably still not over. It probably still has nightmares. I hear buzzing. Who's buzzing?
Not me.
Five, have you waving your mobile?
He's got the vibrator on.
Are you on the old Snapchat, Twitter, fucking Facebooky swipe? There you go, it stopped, whoever was doing it. Anyway, the second part of Mickey Bricks' question, been a bit cheeky, he only said one, but he's got Bricks in his name, so I'll let him get away with it. If Wenger was to resign, would you like a change of backroom staff, and who would you like to see come in? For me, I'd take Ancelotti. He's put that, who, and then a bracket mark, so maybe I've edited that wrongly. He'd take Ancelotti. Isn't Ancelotti going to Bayern Munich?
Yeah, he's already signed a contract.
Well, there you go. You can't
I'd take Simeone at Arsenal.
Simeone, the only way he'll leave is if he maybe goes to Chelsea or Inter Milan, the club that he's played for years ago. He'd never come to Arsenal. We all hate him for what he did with Vieira and Grimandi.
What about Joachim Low? Or how do you pronounce it?
Old Jurgi Love. He's German national team manager. There might be. I think he's going to stay on for one more World Cup. That's what I don't know where I've heard that, but I don't think he'll be leaving the German national team set up anytime soon. Not when you've won the World Cup and you've got a set of players like that. I mean, they've got to be odds-on favourites to win the next European Championships, haven't they? Has anyone else got any ideas for a next manager? And would you change it to backroom staff? I'd change all the backroom staff, apart from the bloke who manages the youth players. Is it Andreas? What's his name?
Anders Jonker.
That's it. Yeah. There's been some talk in other places, again, don't quote me, that he could be the next manager, because didn't he come from Bayern or somewhere like that, or some big club? And there's been talk that maybe he's been groomed to take over from Wenger from the inside. But I'd get rid of everybody. Every single first person I'd get is Jerry Payton. Shoot him.
Doesn't a new manager bring his own team in anyway? So
usually does. That's why it costs so much money. You don't just sack a manager. You get, like with Chelsea, they've had to get rid of loads of people.
Yeah.
It's very expensive.
If we're talking about Simeone, obviously he's currently got a club, right, and it's a little bit unrealistic. But if we are getting on the unrealistic potential signings, how about Allegri from Juventus? You know, they lost their first 4 or 5 games this season, I think.
Yeah.
And he just said, listen, that's not fucking good enough. And they're pretty much, I believe, practically unbeaten since. I think they drew with Roma the other day, and it was their first dropped points in ages. I mean,
they won 15 games in a row in the league.
He's a very, very good man. Whether we could get him, I don't know. But as we said earlier, money talks. Could he resist? Could he resist the money of Arsenal? I don't know. Juventus are obviously the big club over there, but potentially.
Well, this is oh dear. Gary Nichols says, "Where do you see us this time next year?" Who wants Gimli? Got any ideas? No, Gimli's died. Where's he gone?
I would say we're one of
fourth. Go on, Raj.
No, I'd say we'll be one of 6 teams challenging for the top 4. I think there'll be 6 or 7 teams basically in the mix next year. What with West Ham's money coming in with the stadium that they're not paying for, so you never know. But I think it would just, if things haven't changed, if we haven't progressed in the transfer window this summer, then we could well be worse off.
5, anything on this?
I think we'll be in the same position we've been in the last 6 years, and it's the same position we're in now, to be honest.
I personally think that we will be looking at the days where we were fighting for the top 4 as the glory days, as we're sitting 6th, 7th, having bought nobody in the summer. 2 or 3 players have gone, and the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, maybe even Everton, now they're going to have some money, are all way above us, and maybe chuck Leicester into there as well.
We've become the new Liverpool.
That's it. Our days in the top, we'll be looking at 4th place and dreaming of 4th place.
We're looking back at the days. Oh, do you remember the Invincible season? Yeah, we were good then.
You talk like that most of the time anyway.
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay, this one from shall I read that one? Akshay. He says, what was your first thought that went through your head after that full time besides, oh God, the league is gone? Gim. Where's your stash?
Where's yeah, literally. I need a joint. I think that's what it was.
You said, can I inject cannabis in my eyeballs?
Is there a hole that I can't put it up?
Raj?
Hold on, sorry. Yeah, it was the pizza talking there for a second. Double chilies as well, so I need to go for a shite in a minute. But no, I kind of, those kind of games I stew in silence, so I don't really do much. And so by the time the final whistle was blown, I had nothing to think about. I was just depressed and upset, and I went for a drink in the bar and then went home. So you're kind of numb with those kind of performances, and especially 2 in a row. So yeah, there's not a lot you can do.
So I thought, where's my gun?
You said you went to the bar. Was that to buy a lager, and you only bought one for yourself?
Oh my God!
Moving on.
Mr. Fife, any wise words?
A bit silly. It was so cold. It was freezing in the stadium. I thought I'd get a cup of tea for the long miserable walk back to Highbury and Islington Station, because it's about a 15-minute walk, and then you got to wait for 20 minutes outside the station where they funnel the fans in. So I was going to grab a cup of tea from the bar in the ground, and my first thought was, fuck that, I'm not going to spend any more money at Arsenal tonight, they don't deserve it. And I walked up and made the journey back in the cold. So that was my first thought.
Mine was when it was 3-1. I sit in front of the telly, got a big 55-inch telly, sit about 6 foot back from it, the volume on about 25, and then everyone knows not to talk to me. And then this is for both of the games. And then for the Man United one, as soon as it was 3-1, I went and sat at the computer and started tweeting because the game's all over. I'd actually turned around and had my back to the telly when Ozil scored. And the offspring said, Arsenal scored. I said, don't care. I'd given up. Could see they couldn't give a damn. And the Swansea one, I was watching it on the PC anyway because it wasn't on telly. And I think I just started minimising the window and going doing other stuff because you could see that once they got 2-1, the game was virtually over. And so my thought was, yet again.
Can we just go back to what Andrew said?
Go on.
So, right, Andrew, you were at the ground. You knew that it would take you a long time at the station, so you thought, I'm going to hold back and get myself a cup of tea. But then you thought, no, we'd played that bad that you decided you weren't going to buy a cup of tea and you were just going to wait at the station, correct?
That showed them. Nothing else.
Confirm or deny?
Confirm.
Okay, so basically, what you've said there is you're bringing back the you spend, we spend campaign. And you are going to be the poster boy of that campaign.
I might bring out my own poster with my own Twitter handle out there soon. So you be warned, even Gazidis, because I'm coming for you.
You give us cheap tea and we'll buy that fucking cheap tea.
Yeah, if there was going to be a fan campaign, because it's quite riled me how much people are on the back of the fans. But we should have a campaign where we say hashtag you give a fuck, hashtag we give a fuck. Because the players need to start playing and fucking giving some responsibility for the way that the fans have supported them this season. So that would be my campaign.
And I will say, Andrew, your campaign will not consist of you saying you're not going to give a fuck and then going out and giving many fucks shortly after.
Oh, we're getting issues with you, Raj. Have you unplugged your headphones?
Unplugged.
Oh, dear.
Raj unplugged. That's a scary thought.
Right, we've got another comment here from Tyrone, who was on the transfer deadline thing. He's in Canada. He's donning a false ginger beard and a blonde wig, and he's undercover. He says, also, should we shoot more? But I'm not joking. Legitimate question. Because we always want to walk into the fucking goal. That's true. We need more pot shots. I know we're running out of time here, so I'll quickly just get another couple of ones. From Austin Walsh. Would Usmanov taking over from Kroenke improve Arsenal or turn us into the type of club we all hate? Examples, City and Chelsea. I think it would turn us into that kind of club, and the stadium would be full of like trendy little little shitbags, all with their baseball caps on back to front, with trying to do their best to grow a beard. That's what it would be. Gim?
I just don't care anymore. I've actually lost the will to live. Let's be honest, right? We're doing this podcast off the back of 3 straight defeats. Do we really care? I mean, if I'd had my way, I'd have just fucked this off tonight, I'll be honest with you.
If you play with your new PS4.
Yeah, carry on.
Going for holes in ones. Raj?
So, yeah, I don't want that. I don't fancy it. No, it'll be back out of Compton.
Being a money man, Mr. Fife, what's your thoughts?
Actually, I think I'm not saying I specifically want that, but I do think he would. I mean, funny enough, I was reading an Usmanov article earlier from when he basically said Arsene Wenger doesn't learn. So I think in 2014 in November, him and Arsene Wenger had a bit of spat. Usmanov basically came out and said that if Arsenal want to compete in Europe, they need to replace every single player in the team. And Wenger then came out and said that Usmanov doesn't understand Arsenal's values. And I'm thinking, yeah, he doesn't want to come fourth. Of course he doesn't understand them. He wants progress and success. And okay, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I want us to be a Chelsea or a City. Realistically, I don't think that's the best way for football. But do I think he would try and encourage that? Yes, I do. And I do think that he would make Arsene Wenger very much accountable. And I don't think Arsene Wenger would want to be part of a Newsman of Arsenal, not because we'd spend money, although that's part of it, but because he knows his arse would be out the window if he didn't deliver a league title in a couple of seasons, just like Pellegrini's is.
There you go, Gimli. So we have a few more questions, but we've almost run out of time.
Have we really?
You can get the gift wrap out, wrap this up and stick it under the tree.
So all that's left then is predictions and shout-outs for the week. We do predictions for the Scum away. That shit up the road. I'm going to go 3-1 Ramsey.
As in, we're going to win or lose?
We're going to win. Fuck it, we're going to win. I can't do it. I can't bet. I cannot give a negative prediction against that shit. I can't do it. I mean, Chelsea, Barcelona, quite happy to. Them, no. I can't do it. Raj?
2-0 to them, Kane.
Oh, Jesus. Danny?
How odd is that? I've just typed mine out. 2-0 Kane.
Okay, and Andrew?
I'm going to go 2-0, and I'm going to say Chadley.
Fucking points of mine this week then, boys. Thank you very much. And finally...
Have we got... Is there not 2 games next week? I don't know. I've not looked.
Is the return leg of
When's the whole game?
Hull on Tuesday.
Oh, so it's the Hull game as well. Sneaky.
Okay, I'm going 2-0 Ramsey against Hull. Raj?
1-0 penalties.
Oh, who's going to be your first scorer?
Campbell.
Well, if it's 1-1 and it goes to penalties, then you get points.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, because I want people thinking... Yeah, so, yeah, well, actually, yeah, you've done well. You've caught Jeff up 2 points in the last 3 games. He's had 0.
Jeff keeps predicting wins at the moment. That's great. He's a fist.
Yes. Go on, Gim. Who next?
Sorry, I'm choking.
Oh, no. Fife, what's your prediction?
Well, you should take your mouth off his cock then, Gim.
Who?
No.
Who?
Edit that out.
Don't tell me to edit stuff out.
No,
I might
edit
find it.
Who's cock?
Now you're in cock-a-doodle-doo.
Excellent,
You've been on the bucket of... Oh, Jesus.
With this hole now,
Yeah.
I'm going to 4-0 Arsenal El Neni.
Such a prick. Danny?
Jesus, this is... I think they are going to play... They're going to have 50 changes from the last time they played them. I think it's going to be... We're going to beat them 3-0. Sanchez, who I keep fucking picking, although he doesn't seem to be doing much or having much luck. So there you go.
Wonderful. I'm going to do my predictions for this week. My prediction goes to my wonderful other half.
For your prediction?
No, my shout-out, sorry. At Gooner Girl Kate. She sat right next to me now. She's got a cold, so I hope she gets better soon.
Is that why you're choking?
That's pathetic.
Is she strangling you to make sure you say it?
No. Not my throat.
Oh, no.
Daddy?
Love is in the air.
Hey,
Mine's going to
Raj,
go...
don't hate me because you hate me.
Mine's going to go to Jax Joseph, who is at TIJACQUOT, and his bio says teacher, singer, coach, hopelessly idealistic and dreamer of a Haiti worth it of its founders. So I think he's a Haitian, and I think he's the first Haitian we've ever had who's listening. So I think he's got a pitch. Yeah, I think he's got a picture of his 2 boys in his avatar, and both in one home kit, one away kit.
Nice.
So there you go. Our number 1 Haitian listener. And if he's not Haitian, then I'm sorry. I think he is, though.
I spent a little bit of time in Haiti, a couple of weeks ago. Went there for a day. It was very nice.
Oh, if anyone of the listeners has been to Fiji, let me know. I've got some questions. The Offspring is going there for a month to do some charity work, and we're not sure whether it's going to end up getting in trouble for the stuff that you have to wear and things, because this website has given a whole load of stuff you do and don't do. So yeah,
Will she
tweet
see
me.
Lauren Hill there?
What in Fiji?
Oh no, that's the Fugees, isn't it?
Oh, silly you, me, them.
Silly, all of us. Andrew.
It was shout-outs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Shout-outs. Had a good chat Sean Atwood this week at ATTWWOD10.
It's easy for you to say.
Had a good chat with Matt. But actually, someone I want to big up this week, there's a Guardian journalist, and he's called Barry Glendenning. And I guess most of the listeners will know who he is. He's a great
Sunderland fan.
He's a big, precisely, he's a Sunderland fan. And what I want to stand up and say about him this week is I've got a lot of respect for him because he's a man of many morals. He's a great person to listen to on the Football Weekly podcast if you ever got a moment. But he has put his neck on the line this week because like how we give Arsenal journalists a bit of shit, people like John Cross and all John and Jonathan Wilson, all those guys. Jeremy Wilson. But we give them a bit of shit because they get transfer news wrong or because they said Arsenal. He has single-handedly put his neck on the line this week, and he's questioned Sunderland Football Club, and quite rightly, because they had evidence that they knew that Adam Johnson had violated a 15-year-old girl, and they let him play 16 days after he was arrested. And then they played him right up to the week before his trial, and they knew very early on what he had done. They'd seen the evidence, and they haven't
tell
denied
some
it.
woman at the club.
Yeah, he told Margaret Byrne, who's the CEO. He told her they had evidence, and they still continue to play him. And what really infuriates me is that I've read Sunderland fans. I follow a few Sunderland fans, funnily enough, and they're really defending the club over this. And it reminds me of when Luis Suarez was racist and Liverpool fans defended the club's stance on him. They defended this kind of bullshit that he was the one that was innocent. And I really hate tribalism in football. You know, it's hard not to get caught up in it. But Barry Glendenning's put his neck on the line this week, and he's questioned not necessarily the legality of what they did, but the moral stance. And it was wrong what Sunderland did. And he's put his neck on the line, and he's taken a lot of criticism from a lot of tribal lunatics out there. And I think what he's done is very virtuous, and it should be applauded. And that he's put that to one side for his morals, and good on him. And shame on you, Sunderland Football Club.
For keeping
Glendenning is a brilliant follow.
For keeping your main competition and employment for such a long time. We've started and ended the podcast on the same joke, so I think that's probably a pretty good place to draw a line under this tonight. All that's left is to...
What? Where's my shout out?
You had one, didn't you?
We thought you were having a shit.
Oh yeah, I was, but you know, I'm happy.
You know, someone sits in club level when they have two triangular plastic discs on top of their takeaway pizza.
I heard
That's
Raj.
so Hollywood.
I heard Raj walked out against Swansea after 60 minutes.
Bollocks, I did.
But did you burn your shirt? So I saw in the WhatsApp group.
Bollocks, you like sod.
Chelsea did walk out.
Anyway.
Yeah, but he did walk out though. I mean, I must admit, I was lying about the shirt bit, but no, he definitely walked out.
How did you get more foie gras?
How you can't walk out and leave those comfy chairs in club level.
No, I heard that him and Mark Tigg staged a dirty protest.
Have you seen the Arsenal fan? Are you referring to the Arsenal fan who cut his shirt off? Where he cut his shirt up this week after the Man U game. So he's cut the area where the heart is because he says we're heartless. And he's cut the bit out the back because he says we're spineless. It's one of the most ludicrous things I've ever seen.
I think maybe he should have probably carried on and cut himself afterwards. But there you go. Right, so that was...
Oh, where's my shout out?
Right. Raj.
FK Harnage. At FK
Oh, that
Harnage.
Japanese bloke.
Yes.
He's more invisible than Theo Walcott. We've asked him to come on this podcast every week. Oh, yeah, come on, Gim. Yeah, Daddy, no problem. Where the fuck are you, mate?
Not quite every week, but he's been a busy man.
Let's be fair, most weeks.
He picked a Milton Keynes over us last time. Bloody Milton Keynes. Go on, Raj.
Yeah, I just want to give him a shout out because he's a staunch AKB, if you want to call him that. But he's now on the verge of joining me in the dark side. Some of the tweets has come out this week. He's got serious doubts. So there you go. You see, opinions can change.
Has he changed his mind on Theo though, or that day's never going to come?
I was going to say
that's never going to come.
On FK, he posted some very sad news about a family member this week. And so I think, of my thoughts, and I'm sure echo the rest of the pod, is very much wish her a speedy recovery. And he's a lovely guy, Faisal. I know him well in person. He's a great person and a great follow.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. I've met him. He's a great guy.
He is a lovely guy.
He's sexual chocolate.
He is sexual chocolate. And I will fight tooth and nail to have him back. Some of the people on this podcast, standards have slipped. Changes will be made.
Yeah, we're having you put down.
Come in like the dictator, and I'm going to just change shit up.
We've done a Stevie G. Oh, by the way, before we do sign out, LVG, what was that jump to the floor all about?
Wow.
That was classic.
Oh, that was brilliant.
I think he was complaining Sanchez dived.
That was classic number wang. So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. thank you so much for listening. I hope we haven't depressed you too much. Good night.
Goodbye.
That was fun.
Well, it's all gonna shit in it.
Always the last word.
Although Raj, why did you walk out at 60 minutes?
Fuck off! Why'd you put that shit out there?
60 minutes.
Fuck off! Did not walk out at 60 minutes. Never walked
Where'd
out
you
of
get
a
that
game.
from?
He's just
Seriously.
bullshitting. He's making shit
I
up.
didn't even switch it off until the 71st minute on television. You walking out at the 60th.
What? That shit's out there, honestly. I'm gonna fucking turn up to Wales and pull out every ginger pube with a fucking plier.
He's only got one and he backcombs that.
I
I
have.
have never walked out of a game, even how bad it was. So what the
Seriously, it's Brill cream so much to my navel, you'd need a fucking crowbar to get it off. But anyway.
whatever you've seen this last two games, there was a game that was worse than that. We did a 0-0 against Fulham about 3 or 4 years ago at home. And my God, it was the most boring game I've ever watched in my life.
Mine was 0-0 at Highbury. It was on a Saturday afternoon, and it was raining, freezing cold. I actually fell asleep.
Did you walk
Honestly.
out like that one as well, Raj?
Yeah.
He'll find out where you live and he'll fucking murder you. Where are you getting it from that you walked out?
No, just making it up.
Because remember that time I said that, I think, is it on the back of the time I said Mark King walked out? I tweeted that Mark King walked out when we were playing Anderlecht. You know, we lost to Anderlecht last year, 3-1. And I said he walked out. I tweeted he walked out at 1-0 because he was so disgusted that he knew what was coming, and so many people gave him so much shit. And he was fucking livid. I don't think he spoke to me for about a month.
Did he set fire to his corduroys in anticipation of the anger that was coming his way?
It's what lilac Adidas Dats, yeah.
Seriously, he burned his fucking Noel Gallagher coat.
Oh,
Do you know what? Considering it was doom and gloom, I quite enjoyed that.
yeah, it's all right. I've been watching
I just
the darts.
spoke to FK and he says he misses you all.
Oh.
Oh, bless him. He's got a voice of sexual
Still
chocolate.
won't come on though. That prick
that's what-
Giles every week, not us.
We can't. Don't be mean to Giles.
I don't mind Giles.
He said
Oh,
that
man.
prick Giles.
Did you see what I put in the group about Giles on the weekend?
You went up there with him, didn't you?
Yeah, so we went up there and I said to Giles, make sure. So I got there early. So the train was 8:20 a.m.
Oh, he was late, wasn't he?
I got up fucking early to get there from Greenwich because I bought the tickets on my Apple Pay on my phone. So I needed to go and get them printed from one of those like turnstile things. And so I've got to Euston about 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, just make sure you get here on time, G. Try and get here for about because we didn't have reserve tickets on the way up. And fuck me, you got 3,000. Well, you got the best part of like 3,000 Arsenal fans trying to get 2 trains. Then you've got thousands and thousands of Man United fans. So it's the
All from London,
yeah,
'cause they're
it's
cunts.
the busiest trains in the world. I'm like, make sure you get here early. And then he didn't get there. And so at 10 past, I'm like, right, where are you? He said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'll be in 5 minutes. So I ran onto the train, made sure we got 2 seats, like had to fight for them. And then he texted me, oh, mate, I'm not going to get there till like 30:30. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I come off the train. I walk towards the toilet to go for a shit. And then about 18 minutes past, he calls me, oh, I'm pulling up in the car. So I said, right, just meet me down at 5. We'll sprint down together. And by the time he's got there, we've sprinted down to the ramp and the doors have literally closed. And there's this fat bin behind. And we're like, come on. And she's like pointing at her watch. So I just gave her the fucking fingers up because it stood there for a minute, like, you know, stationary before it leaves. And so we had to wait for an hour in Euston and then go through that scramble all over again to get a fucking table, like a seat, sorry.
See, I like Giles, but he don't look like a Giles. It's like me calling Raj Terry.
Yeah. He's fun. I like Giles. He's a really good guy. At one point, I think Walcott gave the ball away.
That's not racist.
Mate, Giles went fucking mental. He was C-bombing him about 5 times in one sentence. And then he turned around and realised there was about a 7-year-old boy behind us, and just went, and he just went, "Oh, sorry, mate." So funny. It's so good. Yeah. He's a good guy.
Dear, oh dear.
Right, I'm
Public
going to pack my
transport.
bags.
Where are you off to?
I'm off on tour.
Anywhere nice?
17 shows in this country, and then 4 days in Delhi. So,
Whereabouts are you doing in London, Raj?
Albert Hall,
Oh, nice. Are you actually? Oh, I got a box at the Albert Hall. When are you playing there?
24th.
Oh,
Hold on, whoa, fuck off a minute. Fife, you've got a box at the Albert Hall.
Through work, yeah. But it's my team.
Why did you take it up on that night?
When is it? The 24th of this month?
Yeah.
I'll see if it's not been taken. I'll see who's got it, and I'll
Fife is like the Jack
it's the day
Whitehall of
before
this
Good Friday.
podcast.
Sorry, mate.
It's a proper piss up that night because it's the last night of the tour, and it's the day before Good Friday, so everyone's got a day off the next day.
So what? It's the 24th of March, yeah.
Yeah, the day before Good Friday.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Well, I'll have a look at that. I'll speak to the lady who looks after the administration of it.
Yeah, I'll get you in the bar afterwards as well. There's a late bar until 1.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Cheers, man. I'll give you a text tomorrow and let you know.
All right, chap,
He'll
I'm off.
probably go down his private plane that he's got use of as well.